In many walks of life, when the older sibling rises too fast, the younger one often struggles to find space to grow, no matter how talented they may be. I'm not sure about other fields, but in football, this pattern has repeated itself time and again. And that's why I fear that Jobe Bellingham may never escape the looming shadow of his brother. Jobe is reportedly on the verge of joining Borussia Dortmund for £25 million, a hefty fee for a 19-year-old still cutting his teeth in the championship. The story sounds all too familiar. It was Dortmund that gave Jude Bellingham his breakthrough at just 17. Now his younger brother seems to be retracing that path. At 19, both Jude and Jobe were highly regarded prospects, but their journeys and styles couldn't be more different. Jude made the move from Birmingham City to Dortmund at 17 and rapidly became a sensation. Before heading to Real Madrid for over €100 million, he made 132 appearances for Dortmund, scoring 14 goals and providing 20 assists. Jobe, on the other hand, opted for his own route, leaving Birmingham for Sunderland in 2023. Since then, he's racked up 90 appearances, scored 11 goals, and chipped in with 4 assists, playing a pivotal role in Sunderland's long-awaited return to the Premier League after 8 years. His coach, Tony Mowbray, says Jobe is carving out his own identity, determined not to be seen as just Jude's little brother. While they share some similarities in positions, their playing profiles are different. Jude is an orchestrator, commanding, technical, and mature beyond his years. Jobe, meanwhile, plays with a more instinctive, raw energy. Where Jude was polished at 19, Jobe is still a work in progress. More spontaneous, perhaps less naturally gifted, but gritty and full of fight. This potential move to Dortmund could seem like a repeat of Jude's rise, but Jobe has his own goals, his own playing style. The question is, can he really make that path his own? Or let's flip the question, who is Jobe Bellingham without the name? If he weren't Jude's brother, maybe he'd be seen as a top young talent in his own right, not just a sequel trying to prove he's different. Because, truthfully, judged on his own merit, Jobe is still a remarkable young footballer. 90 professional appearances by 19, a driving force in Sunderland's rise, and capable of playing anywhere across midfield, from a number 6 to a more advanced playmaker. But because Jude has already been La Liga's best player, Real Madrid's midfield maestro before turning 21, every standard, every expectation for Jobe has been cranked up beyond reason. That invisible pressure can be both fuel and burden. Jobe may not have Jude's natural flair, but he has solid technique and, more importantly, a rare toughness for someone his age. If developed right, he could still become a top-tier player in Europe, not by becoming another Jude, but by finding his own way. That's why this move to Dortmund feels strategic. Germany offers something few other places can: a break from the media frenzy, a space to rebuild and grow sustainably. The Bundesliga may be less brutal than the Premier League, but it's still fast, physical, and demanding enough to forge top-class midfielders. And Dortmund, they don't care about your last name. They care if you perform. From Jadon Sancho to Jude himself, from Jamie Bino Gittins to countless others, Dortmund has taught young players how to explode onto the scene without being puppeteered by the English media circus. Still, there's no such thing as a risk-free move. Dortmund is nurturing, yes, but it's also demanding. Fans there expect growth, not stagnation. And the Bundesliga isn't as soft as people think, especially for midfielders. And above it all, the ghost of Jude hovers constantly. Every performance Jobe delivers will be weighed against what Jude did at that same age. His stats, his highlights, even his celebrations. Jobe knows this. He's lived in that comparison for years. From the outside, the Bellingham brothers look like a shining example of modern English talent and discipline. But dig deeper, and you'll find that Jobe's journey, far from spontaneous, is part of a meticulously crafted family blueprint. Their parents, Mark and Denise Bellingham, have been deliberate and strategic in shaping both sons' paths. Mark, a former police officer and semi-pro goal machine with over 700 goals, passed on more than just genes. He passed down discipline, toughness, and perspective. He understood the stakes of football stardom, the pressure, the temptation, the volatility. So when Jude was rising, Mark didn't let him fall into the Premier League's fast-paced trap. He chose Germany. It worked. Now the same formula is being applied to Jobe. Everything, club choices, transfer clauses, image rights, off-pitch management, has been tightly calculated to give Jobe the best shot at a steady rise. But behind Mark stands Denise, the quiet force of the family. The mother who gave up her own ambitions to travel with her sons, manage their diets, their rest, their routines. When Jude went to Dortmund and later Madrid, she split the family to be with him, shielding him from fame's temptations. Even today, her voice matters deeply in the Bellingham household. There's a running joke in the media. If Denise doesn't approve of Jude's girlfriend, it's a code red for the Bellinghams. And Dortmund, they've known the family for years. For Jobe, it's not just a club, it's familiar ground. But such control comes with a trade-off. Yes, it produced a Jude Bellingham. But the question remains, does Jobe have enough personality, enough independence to step out of that shadow? Or will he always be just a well-built product of the Bellingham system, only thriving within a pre-drawn map? Then again, in the chaos of modern football, that parental control might be a blessing. Just look at Erling Haaland, another product of a tightly managed path led by his father, Alfie Haaland. In today's game, being meticulous is not about being overprotective, it's about survival. Still, we have to acknowledge the unspoken truth in football. It's incredibly rare for two brothers, playing the same position, to both hit the pinnacle. There's a quiet phenomenon in the game. The more successful the older brother, the harder it becomes for the younger one to break free. Look at Eden and Thorgan Hazard. Both came through elite systems. Both were jewels of Belgian football. But only Eden became a global icon, lighting up Chelsea, dazzling Europe, and even in a tough Real Madrid stint, retaining his legendary status. Thorgan, a solid Bundesliga player, but never close to Eden's orbit. Thorgan himself admitted the pressure of carrying the Hazard name was overwhelming. Teammates, fans, coaches, everyone expected magic simply because of Eden. In truth, Thorgan was a good player, but the world demanded greatness. The same story unfolds with Rio and Anton Ferdinand. Rio, one of the greatest defenders in Premier League history, a Manchester United and England icon. Anton, he followed the same youth path, same position, but never came close. His career topped out at Sunderland and Reading. The pressure wasn't just media-driven. It came from within, from chasing a shadow too big to ever catch. In contrast, some families found ways to reduce that internal competition. Yaya and Kolo Touré, for instance, different roles, different legacies. One a midfield destroyer, the other a defensive leader. Their paths never collided. Or take Thiago and Rafinha Alcantara, both trained at La Masia, but only Thiago carved out an elite career. Rafinha drifted through lesser clubs, never truly escaping his brother's reputation. One of the few exceptions, the Hernandez brothers, Lucas and Theo, but they're virtually the same age, rising in tandem rather than in hierarchy. Or the Danish duo Michael and Brian Laudrup. Michael was a generational genius. Brian, though less decorated, helped Denmark win the Euros in '92 and became a national hero in his own right. He showed that being the second best in your family doesn't mean you can't be a legend. Because in football, competition among brothers is different. It's emotional, personal. The unspoken rule that the older you shine, the harder it is for the younger, isn't about talent. It's about the suffocating weight of expectations. Breaking free takes more than skill. It takes character, independence, and sometimes the bravery to walk an entirely different path. And that's why, if you were Jobe Bellingham, standing at a crossroads, what path would you choose?